Now we have a group called, these are our wild cards. And what we mean by that is it's really hard to handicap the success of these teams, correct?
And teams that when you see them on the schedule, fan bases may say, well, you put that as a win potentially, and I would say not so fast as like a Lee Corso there. BYU, a lot was made this summer. Jake Retzlaff leaves the program. They're going to start a true freshman for the first time ever in Bear Bachmeier. This is a team that you could see it go either way. Another one that would not shock any of us. The years that BYU pops up and they make a run at a championship would not stun me at all, but just a lot of question marks there at the quarterback spot. Kansas and Jalen Daniels, that's a team that I'm really looking forward to see. Can he get back to that 2023 form? And also in week 0, get a chance to see their new stadium as they unveil that. For Cincinnati, Brendan Sorsby, they bring him back, but there's a ton of production around him on the offensive side that they're going to have to try and replace. But he is another signal caller we talked about earlier. Good production, needs to take care of the football a little bit better and those critical down throws as well. But any one of these teams, don't be surprised if you see them make a run, not only get to a bowl, but be in that 8-9 win range.
I really like BYU when we look at this grouping of teams. And one of the main reasons is Bear Bachmeier being named starter, about a few days ago, right? So a little extra time for him to get ready. We thought this quarterback duel or battle, three-way competition it started off as, would go all the way down to the wire. It did not. When you consider that Bear Bachmeier was not on hand for spring ball, right? Freshman coming into a brand new program, his ability to pick up the scheme and the intricacies of the offense. And oh, by the way, this is a superstar quarterback. What does that say to you that he earned that job?
I think it speaks to his maturity, number one. Anytime you see a freshman get the nod and get the opportunity to lead a program, especially at the level of BYU, that clearly shows that he won over his teammates in camp. Now, everybody around him, any team that plays a freshman quarterback, what you're telling all the other position groups is you have to elevate because we've got to carry this guy at least for a little bit. Right? He's going to have to get some hits under his belt, get hit, pop back up, make his mistakes. You've got to have everybody else play well around him. Expect a lot of schemed throws. He's not going to be asked to go through a bunch of full field reads, maybe some quarterback run game as well. But I'm excited to watch him. Anytime you get a true freshman quarterback, to me, that's exciting because that means you beat out some veteran guys, some guys that had been around before, and you earn your teammates and your coach's trust to get in that position.
Lance Leipold would never take a mulligan on last year. He takes ownership, right? But it was a difficult season when you look at some of the injuries. And also, you mentioned their beautiful brand new stadium, reimagined stadium, right? That week 0 against Fresno State, we are going to get a chance to see. Last year, it was almost like they were transient, though. They had no home. They're playing at the soccer stadium. They're playing at Arrowhead. In your estimation, did that take a toll on a program that was ranked preseason 22?
I think it did somewhat. I think anytime you have to get on the bus and travel for your home games, that's obviously not ideal. I thought Kansas regressed in being able to close out games, and I don't think that's a stunner to any Jayhawks fan that lived through last season. 10 fourth quarter leads, and some of which they blew. And there was a team that you expected to at a minimum be a bowl team. I think this year they should absolutely be a bowl team. And like I said a minute ago, if you get to the end of the year and they had an 8 or 9 win season, would not surprise me at all. And a lot of that, again, is going to come down to Jalen Daniels. But as a team, they've got to figure out how to close out wins. When you're in the fourth quarter and you've got the lead, taking care of the football, playing good field position, and getting off the field and not doing the things that shoot yourself in the foot that give a win away.
All right, let's talk about our next group. The sophomore season step. Can it be taken by Brett Brennan, Arizona, and Willie Fritz and Houston? I know that you like Houston a lot, as do I. When you look at Willie Fritz and you see his progression in any stop he's been as a head coach, it's undeniable. You would have to guess that Houston's ready to take that step.
I think arguably the wins that Houston was able to get last year and how poor they were on offense, you could look at Coach Fritz and say, man, it was an unbelievable job just to get the wins that they did. Remember, they had a win late in the year against Kansas State, who was trying to get into the conference championship. I do have a ton of faith in Willie Fritz. I think that's another one of these coaching staffs that we talk about that deserves the benefit of the doubt. Connor Wegman, I think everything that we've heard is that he's got this new enthusiasm and is ready to go for Houston. Dean Connors, the running back, comes over from my alma mater, Rice, to be the running back for Houston as well. But I would expect Houston to take a significant step forward on offense. I mean, they were one of the worst in the country a year ago on the offensive side of the ball. They will not be that way this year. And Willie Fritz will get back to what he's always been, a winner. Look at his Wikipedia if you haven't seen it before. Willie Fritz wins football games, and I would expect them to get there. And then for Arizona, getting Noah Fafita to come back at quarterback, and the fact that he did not get in the portal and leave was a huge deal for Arizona. And that absolutely is a program that I think right there next to Houston. Expect them to take a step forward. I know they felt like they squandered some talent a year ago, but both of these teams I expect to be in the postseason, get to a bowl game, and take that next step.
Connor Wigman, a former 5-star quarterback in Texas. Obviously, they make him different, right? Those 5 stars from Texas. Was it more Connor Wigman? Was it injuries, or was it the differencing, so many coordinators and coaches coming through? Why didn't he work out at A&M?
There's all sorts of different reasons, and you can never, I think it's too hard to put a pin on one item or one thing that led to him having to transfer. I think injuries were certainly part of it. I think this opportunity, he's from Houston, so he's back home at a place that he's very familiar with. And I think one thing about Willie Fritz that everybody that I've ever talked to that has spent time around him knows, he does a great job lifting up his players and enabling them to believe in themselves. And I think that's what anytime a player transfers, but especially somebody like a Connor Wigman that played at the highest level, as a starter at Texas A&M in front of 100,000 people every week, you've got to build that guy back up and get that confidence back in your quarterback. And I think Willie Fritz is the guy to do that for Connor Wigman.
All right, let's get to the next group. I know when I was in college, if I got an incomplete, that meant I wasn't going to class. This group right here we're calling incomplete because there's just so many questions, so much roster turnover. Colorado, Oklahoma State, West Virginia with Rich Rod back, Scott Frost back at UCF. What do you make of this group?
I think when we started this at the tier that has championship aspirations, you notice they all had quarterbacks returning. I think that's the biggest difference to me with these 4. This is not to say for fans of these teams that we don't believe in your team. There's just too many question marks right now to be able to say, yes, this is a team that could they compete for a conference championship? Could they get to the postseason with a bowl? A lot of that is going to be dependent on what does your quarterback play look like? There's a couple of those teams that are still in a battle right now. Central Florida's still in one. Oklahoma State's still in one. Colorado, we expect it to be Caden Salter, but also thought that would have been announced a couple weeks ago, and it hasn't been yet. So for all of these teams, Oklahoma State would be the number one that I would throw out there, that you have so many transfers that have come in, but you also have a coach in Mike Gundy that generally speaking you would believe that he would be in the postseason, where last year they bring back 20 of 22 starters and go 3-9. So there's so many moving pieces, new coaching staffs here as well. We haven't even talked about Rich Rodriguez and Scott Frost. So many question marks, new quarterbacks. It's just a wait and see.
I mean, the name recognition in that group we just mentioned alone with Dion, Rich Rod, Mike Gundy, and Scott Frost, pretty impressive. Your gut reaction to Colorado and their chances at success this year, because Coach Prime says, hey, we don't have the stars like we did last year, but we have a better team. I would imagine this year 3 in Prime, will actually give us an idea if this is a really good team infrastructure-wise, right? This is the 3rd year. They have their recruits. They've kind of got the culture going.
Year 3, like you mentioned, you would imagine that the culture has been now put in place. But part of that also, you've had, look at the wide receiver room. Almost all of their production left a year ago. You lost your quarterback. You lost the Heisman Trophy winner in Travis Hunter that we haven't even mentioned yet. I think Caden Salter coming in and the experience he had at Liberty is huge. This is a guy that was on an undefeated team in 2023, a really good team again last year for Liberty. So he has won before, but you're going to have good, consistent O-line play around him. And then where are your weapons on the outside? I think Colorado has replenished that. But there's a lot of question marks for Colorado with the number of pieces they brought in. And like we mentioned, we still haven't seen them announce who's going to be the quarterback.